Hello, everyone. Welcome to another BDPA Tech and Career Talk. I am our National Tech and Career Talk leader, Devin Jenkins. Serve as a IT business relationship management manager for our U.S. and Canada region and our patient care solutions business at GE Healthcare. And I'm also the founder and CEO of Share the Vibes LLC. So glad to have you with us today. For those who aren't familiar with BDPA, I always like to give a little bit of context before we jump in. If you're watching on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, comment, click the bell so you know when we're posting. And share this with somebody who needs to hear the message. So thank you for joining BDPA, Black Data Processing Associates. We were founded in 1975. Yep, you heard that right. This is our 50-year anniversary, which I'll get into here shortly. But 1975, as an organization focused on continuing to develop the talent pipeline for the technology industry within the African American community. So we have a focus on youth, collegiates, and professionals. So everybody has a place within BDPA. But at our youth sector, we focus on teaching them computer skills, programming, development, AI, keeping them relevant with emerging technologies, also providing professional development skills as well. To prepare them for careers in the technology industry. We have our programs such as our high school coding competition, our different academies in data science and cloud, robotics, esports, and then more as the organization has evolved over the years. So a lot of focus around developing our youth for technology, but also for the collegiate level and professionals. We provide forums to continue to develop your skills and build your network. Our mantra is advancing careers from the classroom to the boardroom. So that's what we're all about. So like I said, it's our 50th anniversary. It's our golden year, big year for BDPA. So we are super excited for this year's BDPA conference and career fair, which will be in Atlanta, Georgia, August 13th to the 16th at the Westin Peachtree Plaza. Right now, I think our super early bird rate is still open. So, hey, it's the cheapest it's ever going to be right now. So get your ticket now while you can. It's on the website conference.bdpa.org. Very simple to remember. Conference.bdpa.org. If you're in the car right now, I'll put that in the chat shortly. But if you're watching on YouTube, hey, that's the website, conference.bdpa.org. Go register, and it's going to be a great time. We're expecting some big things this year, from our competitions to our workshops to our keynote addresses to the social happenings as well. It's going to be a phenomenal experience, and we don't want you to miss it. So that's my spiel today. The BDPA Tech and Career Talks, these take place on the second and fourth Friday of each month. These last 1 hour, and we bring in different speakers speaking on different topics. Some topics are soft skill related. We've had conversations around emotional intelligence before, just career navigation in general. Then we have some topics that are more technology focused on things around cloud and AI and cybersecurity. So we give you a range of topics and experiences where you can get some value from the conversations, regardless of where you're at in your career, whether you're a student or you're a retired executive. You can get some value out of these conversations. So glad to have you. Excited for today's conversation. This is our first one of the year in collaboration with Vanguard Consulting Group, which is no stranger to BDPA or this platform. We've had some phenomenal conversations with Vanguard over the last few years. So excited to kick off this year's series of our collaborative tech and career talks. And I'm going to give the floor to you, Akil and Amara, to guide us through today's experience. So thank you all.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you, Devin. Thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a fantastic ride. For those of you who don't know BDPA, you must go to bdpa.org. You obviously do because you're on this, but those of you who are watching this later and are just being introduced to it, you gotta get some information about BDPA and become a member and get part of the mission. My name is Akil Bektemba, as Devin just said. I am the CEO of Vanguard Consulting Group, and I happen to be the co-chair of this 50th anniversary conference that's coming up. So I'm super excited about it. Thank you, Devin, for the shout out. I'm so glad that you said that. This is going to be a special one, and so I want to make sure that you guys, like you said, Devin, jump in here in the early bird, which ends, I think, on March 31st. So make sure that you jump in for those registrations. Outside of that, you'll still get a chance to continue and move into that space. I want to also introduce My colleague Amara Tennessee, who is also from Vanguard Consulting Group. We work together to in the workforce development and other spaces, and are very much interested in the technology space and being part of what's to come in the future. Today, we are super excited. I think she's coming back on. I saw Q a second ago. We were very excited to host this and facilitate this discussion. Um, our our friend, community leader, workforce professional, and trainer, Quasandria, former or familiarly known as Q, is known for her intelligence, strength, ingenuity, personal and professional resilience, and on behalf of the communities that she cares about. So she has been an amazing partner, and we're looking forward to the discussion with her. I'm going to pass it to Amara first to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping, then we'll jump into the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Devin, for the intro, and thank you, Akil, for the handoff. Good morning, everyone. We're really excited for today's Tech Talk, and we have an incredible speaker that Akil has started to introduce, and we're going to give her a chance to introduce herself in just a moment. But a little bit of housekeeping before we get started with our conversation. Throughout the discussion today, we're going to field as many questions as we can. And answer as many questions as we can during our hour together. So if you have any other questions that you'd like us to ask our wonderful speaker, please be sure to put them in the chat and I will read them out. We'll make sure that we get to them before the end of today's session. But without further ado, we'd love to introduce Q Turner to the rest of you guys. So Q, do you want
So,
to say hello and give a quick intro to our audience about who you are, where you grew
Absolutely.
up, what you're working on now?
Absolutely. So, good morning, everybody. I'm so happy to be here, invited by the Vanguard Group, Consulting Group. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to be on this platform with you guys. Unfortunately, as ironically, my camera just all of a sudden stopped working. So I'm gonna work to get another device while we're getting started. But a little bit about me. I currently work for an organization called CareerRise. We are a workforce intermediary, and the work that I lead is our place based workforce initiative called Westside Works. It is located on the west side of Atlanta, that has traditionally served a number of Westside communities and neighborhoods. So I grew up in Atlanta, and Lord behold, I grew up on the west side. So this work is near and dear to my heart. I enjoy it so much that every day that I wake up doesn't feel like work at all. It just really feels like collaborating and working daily with family and friends. So I have a long history, 20 plus years, even though I'm still young tenderoni here
that's
in
right.
workforce development. Many years of hard work that was rooted and started back in the days of college at Albany State University. So love this work. Love the efforts that's happening at Westside Works and all across the U.S. with workforce development. I think that we are thriving and learning to work more collaboratively together now, which makes progress so much easier. So
That's
that's a
perfect.
little bit about me.
Yeah, no, that's perfect, and we're gonna get into all of that West Side work, Albany States. But I want to start from the beginning. One of the things I will say, Q, that I feel was very special about meeting you and seeing the work that you do, is the fact that you are from where you work. Many of us who are in this have I'm from the Bay Area. I'm in Atlanta. I work all over the place. There's other people and don't get the opportunity or don't have or don't stay um to do the work in the community that you come from. And so I think that's a hugely special and unique part about what you bring to the table. So could you tell us, just give us a little bit of what it was like growing up in Atlanta in that time and how that shaped you? I know you talked about Albany State, but even before that, how did that shape you to be the Q we know today?
Thank you so much for that question. So if I go back to my roots and reflect of life growing up in Atlanta, I would honestly have to say that life was pretty good growing up in the Black Mecca. Everyone knows Atlanta to be this booming experience with Black excellence and resilience and just filled with a lot of history and impact. And I think I was a direct beneficiary of that level of community. And being that I was raised in that culture experience and with a single mom, I know firsthand what it's like for community organizations and how they work to make an impact within their community. And like I said, I was a direct beneficiary of that. The west side of Atlanta, for those of you that are not from this area, is literally home to the largest HBCU group of colleges and universities. And those colleges really give back and they're very, very dynamically involved within this particular community. So growing up for me, I was always at the colleges. So it was never a thought or a second thought about going to school or post-secondary. I was already prepared for it as a young kid, watching the marching bands come to the community and march through the neighborhoods. And I became engaged in, that particular life. And we've always had this sense of hospitality in Atlanta. So just really being hospitable and ready to entertain guests. So at a drop of a dime, that's what we're about. And I think that that really gave root to a lot of who I am, for being hospitable to just and also giving back to community and being engaged with the community. And I think that really is my foundation.
There's a lot of talent, including you, that comes from the West Side. We know that. So that's
Absolutely.
yes. So you talked about, I felt it interesting, you being from the West Side, and you talked about the AUC and the fact that it's, that there are all those schools there. What drew you to going to Albany State instead of staying in the city?
Oh, that's a hard, well, not necessarily a hard one, but that's really, I'll say this. I started thinking about college and I was so engaged. And I really felt like I was already in college, to be quite honest. Since middle school, I was going to a program called Talent Search at Morris Brown College.
Oh, okay.
And that was a weekend course, where you would engage and learn about college life. And then we began summer programs at Morris Brown and Spelman and Clark called Upward Bound programs. So I felt like I had already experienced college life in Atlanta, to be quite honest. But I will tell you, my senior year, I was in a program that after you finish your credits in high school, you get to take college courses. And I started that program at Spelman, and my mom was just really too involved with my college life. So, to be quite honest, one of my friends, I had not even applied to Albany State yet. They were going to a college tour and I asked to go and loved that environment, really loved the difference of experience from the city life, because Albany was a little bit slower, but everything was involved around the college, and it was so hard to walk away from going there and not return. So the deep rooted history. I love history. It drives me, and just understanding the historic impact of Albany State and what the community meant and how it thrives because of the college. I wanted to be a part of that. So shout out to my unsinkable Albany State and all of the fellow Rams that might be on the phone the call today, or Ram supporters, because if it wasn't for Albany State, I would not have found myself or really learned where my place is in the world or what it means to be a Black woman, but most importantly, what it meant to have a sense of confidence, and be okay with who I am.
That's perfect, and I think you must have seen the questions that I'm asking you, because you are segueing perfectly into the next thing that I was going to ask you. What drew you into psychology and community counseling, and how have those fields helped you become a better leader in workforce development? Because I looked at your bio and your profile and then what I know about you, professionally. Those two areas are very interesting to kind of segue your way from there into workforce development, which I know you're heavily involved in.
Yes. Okay. So that's a great
Can you hear
question.
me?
And yes. Oh, am I on mute? Can you hear
No,
me?
you're good, Q. You're
You can
fine.
hear me? Okay, perfect. So
Q,
that's
we can't hear you. There you go. Or is
you
that
can
a
hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. You're all good.
I'm sorry.
yes?
So the question was, I believe, what drew me to workforce development because of my background in psychology and counseling,
Yeah.
right?
What drew you into psychology and community counseling, and then
Yeah.
how that transitioned you as a leader in workforce development?
Absolutely. So I mentioned a little bit around I was prior to college being exposed to college and universities. So I really had mapped out what I thought I was going to be and do with my life prior to attending Albany State. But how I really dove into this particular field is actually deeply personal. During my time at Albany State, my older sister was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And in order to support my family with understanding what my sister was going through, and this was not just a regular sister relationship. My sister was at that time my best friend. And, we really had a strong partnership because she had become a young mother as well. So very involved in her life and really was seeking to understand what was happening with her. And then also, as she was going through her journey, I realized, some of the challenges that people with disabilities experience with just normal day-to-day living, not to mention just getting a job. So psychology really helped me understand, the experience, the human experience of what that transition looked like and how I could be a better support system for her as she was going through her journey. And then taking it to a step further with community counseling, I wanted to really understand how I can help people that experiencing these life transitions, because that's what it is ultimately, a
Right.
transition, how they can navigate life and still have the same dignified experience as everyone else.
Wow,
That's
that is an incredible story, and thank you so much for sharing. I know that that's personal, but hearing how you're able to take your interests and serve the community, I think shows that this isn't something that's new to you. It's something that you've committed your life to. So I commend you on that. And it's exciting to see where your interests are. And when people have that kind of personal connection, I think it translates so authentically. And there's this really kind of genuine compassion that you see for people to have in their community. And Q, I've had the opportunity to kind of see you in action, and I definitely know that it translates. So that's really exciting, and thank you so much for sharing that. But
Thank
you've
you.
worn a lot of different hats in your roles and your experience, and you've worked with people facing addiction, trauma. You spoke about your sister dealing with a diagnosis of of a disability. You also work with justice impacted people. So, is there a story or a moment that has stuck out to you as a reminder of your purpose and the work that you do?
Wow. There's lots of moments in this work that sticks out. So I would say daily, I have a reminder, of my purpose. But if I were to, reflect on one specific instance, I would say dealing with and working with individuals that have had justice involvement have had the most impact outside of mental health and counseling in my life, both in my professional and personal life. So, being from just being a Black American, we have family members that have experienced justice involvement. However, understanding the plight of someone that is outside of your family and the challenges that they experience and the many social barriers obstacles that they face, from trauma to just really trying to be a better citizen, and those obstacles that they face that would easily make someone turn back to doing something that's the easy way of doing easy way of what they've been doing before. So I think that there is a specific individual, but I haven't got approval to talk about his case, but I will just kind of share that there was this one individual that sticks out that, like I said, had the most impact on me. He got out of prison and came into my then employer, which was Goodwill at that time, and he was looking for training, but the training program said that they didn't accept people with criminal backgrounds, right? But he knew that he was capable. So we ended up giving him a chance, and it was going outside of the parameters of what we would normally do for his pre-screening, but he was that one person that we took a chance on, right? And when he completed the program, we knew his challenges would be really, really insurmountable in regards to getting a job in that industry, because that's why we designed the program, because we knew that his particular charge and offense was not likely to be acceptable in that industry. However, this young man, he was so dedicated. He had so much grit and motivation that he went to a construction site and he just started working for free. Just started working, right? And so he started attending like the team meetings, and the supervisor or the foreman on the project was having a huddle. He was like, "Hey, young man, y'all need to be more like him." Asking the other crew members to follow his lead, asking him about himself. And the lady one day from HR informed him that, "Hey, he doesn't work here. This gentleman is not on our payroll." And that encouraged the foreman to talk a little bit more to him, and they ended up getting him a vehicle so that he can get to the different construction sites, because that construction project was ending soon, but they had already saw what he was capable of. And I know that this is not in any way your typical way of starting work, but this is just a demonstration of how committed he was for himself. Fast forward a few years back, I got a chance to see him just as a regular human being living life. And he shared with me, he said, when I was working with you, that was the most challenging time of my life. I went to prison over 15 plus years and never heard from anybody, none of my family members. No one supported me, put money on my books. But do you know that right now I have 2 businesses? He ended up developing this broship with some of the people on his construction site, and they started not using their construction skills outside of the construction labor for themselves. They built the business to purchase houses and began to fix them up and things of that nature. So he began to have multiple streams of income. He's doing really well for himself. He, his house has a vehicle, but he started really, really from what I can only say is humbling beginnings, and with a path that was really undefined and unclear and without any support. But now today, everyone calls him and asks him for support if they're having, challenges financially and things of that nature. But his story just reminds me of sometimes, you can never, ever put a restriction on what individuals should do and what they're able to do when it comes to programming, because you never know what they can achieve. And in this industry, I've seen so many different things that we did not anticipate happen. So that's what I would say.
Wow, that is an incredible story. And I'm so glad that our audience had the chance to hear and learn about it. We know that there are a lot of barriers for our returning citizens and our justice involved people as they enter the workforce. And we know that they have skills and that opportunity is not always abundant. So the fact that you were able to see his skills, to see his potential and help create an opportunity for him and see what it's grown into is incredible. And a lot of times in this work, we don't always get the follow-up 10, 15 years after the fact of how is someone really doing. And so it's great that you were even able to see in the long run that he was still, living a successful life. He had been able to transform. So that was exciting.
So let me ask you a question, Q. So you 2021 you started with Westside Works, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So and I know you don't go into anything without a vision or an intention in these type of in this work. And so since the time that you started in 2021 to 2025, what have you seen? How have you seen it evolved, and how do you see where it's going? What are your thoughts?
Well. That is a great question as well. So in 2021, honestly, CareerRise was making a stake in direct service. So I was brought in to develop and design what the programs and the partnership collaboration model, what that place-based model would look like for our organization. And so back then, it was a lot of discovery, a lot of, focus groups with the community, with partnerships, the community partners, because we wanted to design something that would be helpful to the community in which it was existing in, and not to be a competitor with the other resources that were involved and engaged in that area. So there was a lot of really footwork to really understand what the community resources look like and what workforce development look like as an ecosystem, not only on the West Side, but in the greater Atlanta area, so that CareerRise could both be a direct service agent and workforce development center on the West Side, but also support our greater metro Atlanta community. So, I really would say that from development and design, we really in 2021 was a concept design process. And right now we're able to implement that design. And so now my strategic focus is really just to have strong partnerships so that we can really complement what is happening in our workforce ecosystem, and we can expand beyond traditional resources and strategies in which have been previously done to serve the community.
That's fantastic, and I know that during that process there's some pretty big wins that you guys have experienced, especially as it pertained to your human-centered design and your human-centered workforce services. What would you say was one of your biggest or one of your proudest kind of wins, if we're talking about wins, in your work with Westside Works over the last few years?
Absolutely. So I think that one of the biggest concepts that we've been able to design and has been our career advancement strategy. So the way workforce development works, and I don't have to tell this to you guys because you are already aware, but a lot of programs are designed to help people get entry level roles and opportunities, a foot in the door, and we will pray that they can elevate from there. Well, what we've learned in our research is a lot of times people are like, hallelujah, I got a job. They're going to stay in that role. They're going to stay in that job. But in order for them to grow with the economy, to have a livable wage, we have to help them grow and develop. Because believe it or not, a lot of employers are not providing career advisement and helping people navigate to get to those higher level opportunities. So at Westside Works, we have developed in our concept a really strong re-engagement strategy to help people understand the career span of the job opportunities in the job market. So they're not just going into a construction job as a general contractor, a general laborer. They're going in with the mindset that I'm going to be an underwater welder. And these are the steps that it takes to get there. And we provide funding for them to get retrained in that additional area of specialty once they've demonstrated that they've had at least 1 year under their belt in that initial job opportunity that we help them get, so that we are honoring that partnership with that employer, but also we're intentional about helping them elevate and ensure that their families are best positioned as our economy change.
Yeah, that wraparound services is amazing, and I always like take the opportunity to commend you because we did have the opportunity, we have had the opportunity, I should say, to join you at one of your partnership meetings, and that room was full of partners, and it just shows how the strategy is working as it pertains to the entire ecosystem as you just decided, or you just described. I do want to ask you because. Obviously, this is BDPA, and when this is a tech and career talk, I do want to ask you about you leading the creation of the digital navigation and upskilling initiative, and tell us a little bit about that and some of the impact you've seen in that, and maybe even folks that are involved in BDPA may be able to offer resources or even bring some insights to that project. But I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Okay, so I have just signed in with my phone to try to see if I can get on camera.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Close one. Shut down the computer. You all right, Henry? There she is. All right, now you got to come off mute on one of them.
Okay, are we
This
good
is
now?
exciting because you had to come on screen for this answer.
I know. Well, I was trying to the entire time speak and sign back in so I could have camera.
Troubleshoot.
Sorry
Right.
about that.
Just
But
real quick, Q. If you can, let's mute the computer and unmute your phone if possible.
Yeah, I think she just did
That
that.
that way we get your that way your video is showing up on the main screen versus your name.
okay.
Oh,
Does that work?
Now just turn your actual speaker off on your laptop.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
perfect.
we're good.
Are we good?
Thanks,
Okay,
Devin.
perfect. Now
Y'all
I
didn't
can
know
hear
Devin
you
was in the
guys.
background making sure
Give
we were
me
right.
1 second. Okay. Can you hear me?
You're perfect.
Okay, awesome. I'm so sorry about that. I feel so bad.
No, you good. Should you want me to restate the question, or you?
Please. Yes, please.
Okay. All right, cool. Because you were doing some real multitasking, trying to get back on. So we appreciate you jumping back in. So I was just talking about BDPA being a tech organization, right? And just that you have led the creation of a digital navigation and upskilling initiative. And so I wanted to hear a little bit about that, the impact, some other things that are going on with that, or where it's going, or anything about that, because I think that's a huge part of obviously technology in the services that you're trying to provide.
Absolutely. So, back in 2021, when we were initially getting set up with Westside Works, one of the discoveries, and I don't think it was really a discovery because we were getting out of that fuzzy phase of the pandemic, and so
Mhm.
everyone understood like some of the major aha moments that came out of the pandemic, which was the largest around technology and access and things of that nature. A lot of organizations did a pivot to incorporate technology into their services. And just like with all things that was happening in workforce development, what I wanted to do was to also be engaged and involved and integrate technology and digital skilling in Westside Work Services,
Right.
understanding that that was going to be a core component of the workforce. Well, we engaged a focus group, and this focus group was none other than it was pretty much different from the other focus groups, where we involved community, but we also engaged the large organizations that was around digital skill transformation, like Google, Microsoft. We involved some of our community organizations so we can understand from multi levels as well as community members what is their experience with what's happening in this digital era, and what the needs are and what the gaps were. At that time, everyone was trying to figure it out, throwing darts at the wall in the dark. Well, we wanted to be very specific, and we wanted to be complementary to what was already happening. So we designed this digital learning lab, and the lab itself is really designed to support people as they were going into these different types of work. So individuals that were working from home, they couldn't run across to their neighbors at their work site to ask a question to get through these digital obstacles. So they could call us and we can help them. And that will help people retain their jobs and upskill themselves in the process without going through a long training program to upskill themselves. We also incorporated complementary digital skills courses that would help individuals that were getting turned away from a lot of these technology programs. So, for instance, when you apply for a program, you would have to take like an entrance exam,
That's
and
fair.
that would determine if you would be able to enroll or if you were turned away, because we just have to have a screening process, right? But what was the resource that people utilized when they turned people away? We didn't have that. It doesn't exist. Well, now it does. At Westside Works, we're that resource so that the next time we would help people better get that yes to enroll in that program, or we would help get them set up for the right career path because maybe that wasn't the right program for their skills.
Right.
So that's what the Digital Learning Lab is, and I'm really really proud of the work that we've been able to do with that.
No, that's dope. And I think that, the fact that this is how you thought coming in, how you thought, because you talk about 2001, right? So how you thought coming in, how you still are thinking, and the fact that innovation is a core part of your leadership.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what's coming down the road. I know we're doing pretty good. We got more time, but I just want to definitely delve into what's coming, what's in the future, what's going on with Westside Works, what's going on with you, CareerRise, any of the things that you see coming to the state. This is a perfect opportunity to tell folks what's happening.
Absolutely. So at CareerRise, we are, as everyone else is, navigating this new executive order around equity and all of the buzzwords that are hot on the press for um, government funding. So we are doubling down in our values and our interests to continue to offer equitable opportunities. We're not ashamed or afraid to say that we are designed and our whole purpose is to help communities in which are underserved. We know that we all have to navigate these times together and determine the best way to communicate our messaging. But we want to be a leader and a friend to a lot of nonprofits and organizations that may have challenges around that, to problem solve and co create together. And so, this next phase of our organization will be around how do we continue to thrive. Workforce development has been around for decades. We will be around. We will continue to get funding, but it is different. We will communicate differently to demonstrate the effectiveness of what we're doing and the people that we're serving and why they need services. So that's what you will see. You will also see us leaning into philanthropy as friends, as additional supporters, which is, since the founding of Westside Works, we were led by and began by the Arthur and Blank Family Foundation. So we know the formula for how to be a strong friend and partner with a philanthropic organization and carry out the initiatives that are most close to their interest areas. And so we want to, like I said, lend our knowledge and experience to other nonprofits that may help you guys thrive and continue to navigate these turbulent waters that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I'll go ahead, Amar.
I was just going to say, I have a background in public health program planning, and so much of what Q says is all about that strategic partnership development and really not assuming the needs or the desires of the community, and really leveraging those strategic partners, going into the community and talking with all of the different change makers about what do they want to see and how can we implement those changes. I think it's really refreshing to hear that you're standing strong in the values and the morals that kind of define not only yourself but Westside Works as a whole. I think that focus in community is really necessary and really pivotal. And I know between yourself, Akil, I know Devin, and maybe a couple other folks on this call today, we are all members of different Black Greek letter organizations. And I know that those are all really rooted in community service. I myself am a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Oh, shame on you for that watered down red. I'm just joking. I love AKA.
Of course, and I love my Delta sisters. And I know Akil and Devin are both members of Alpha Phi Alpha. But being connected to a professional organization and the sorority, how does that community keep you grounded, keep you growing, help you stay motivated in the work that you're doing on the West Side?
Yeah, so I'll share with you that, my first knowledge and introduction to sororities was my teachers in school. You guys probably had your first introductions too, like many of us. But I will say that my mom was not only a single parent, she was a teen parent. And her high school homeroom teacher took a vested interest in her life, which I was the beneficiary of. And she just so happened to be a woman and currently a soror of mine, a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And she involved me and engaged me in a lot of different community activities. So I got to see and witness firsthand the impact and the heart of what it meant to be a member of a sorority. Not only the sisterhood and the community experience, but just the brilliance of having a network that can support you through life moments and build you up, and prepare you for the different phases of life that you experience. So, I think that, being involved with the sorority is a great human experience, to be quite honest. But for me, it really helped ground me in my purpose for my life, because community is what I'm all about. And I learned that, like I said, at a very early age, from being someone who experienced firsthand the inheritance of individuals invested in their community.
That's cool. I was thinking about as you were talking, the work that we do and the intrinsic value of it, and a lot of what you said as far as your inspiration and motivation to do the work you do came from your childhood or experiences growing up. I always find it interesting on asking people, if you were to talk to young Q,
Mm-hmm.
what would be, so, and you could do that different times. You could talk to young Q in middle school, you could talk to young Q in high school, talk to young Q in college,
Mm-hmm.
maybe young Q right out of college, and the world, you had your, you finished, now the world is, what do we do now, right? What would be a couple things that you would give as far as a message to young Q in any of those, your chosen era of your life?
I would go back to young Q in college, to be quite
Mm,
honest, because that's when I feel like I became my own thinker, and it
mm,
wasn't driven by somebody else's influence. So I would tell young Q back at Albany State that was having a great time to buckle up. Is going to be a wild and crazy ride. I would tell her that she should save her refund checks and begin investing them, to think
that is
about
a
her
great
future a
idea.
little bit more versus being in the present. I am all about being present. And I think that being present is a really, really strong way of living. But I do also think that we as human beings should also think about the future,
Yeah,
and prepare for the future a lot more in our present.
yeah,
So I definitely would go back to young Q and begin thinking about, like, hey girl, how can we spend more time thinking about our future
yeah.
versus these parties that's happening on campus?
Right. And
So
that's why hindsight is 2020, right? But I would be interested in just because we are on a tech platform, what would you tell young Q about technology and what's to come in with technology, and where maybe she would have gotten engaged if knowing where we were going, where she would have gotten engaged in technology?
I think about that question often, actually, because back in the day we had, I think, innuendos of
Mhm.
possibilities with technology, like with RoboCop,
Yeah.
with the Jetsons. And so I think that for me, I would have taken those opportunities and think about like how I can make that happen in real time and have access now.
Yeah.
And so thinking about the ease of technology and how those opportunities were shown to us as what's possible. I would have thought about how do I make that possible? How do I become an inventor of this opportunity,
Yeah.
and begin that technology evolution a lot sooner than what we've experienced currently, present day.
I think that's great. I think that's great. So we're going to wrap up soon, but we have a couple more questions. Excuse me. And I wanted to ask you, you're I'm gonna call you a woman of action. You are, not just talking about it, you being about it, and you're doing the work, and you're leading the work, which I think is also equally as important. A lot of us have put, blood, sweat, and tears, and have done the work ourselves, but to be able to kind of duplicate your efforts into your staff and other people that you're working with is also key. So what would you say is your call to action for those listening and watching, and why should all of those folks who interact, excuse me, who interact and intersect with workforce development and even on the West Side get
Mhm.
involved? Should I repeat that? I don't know. I kind of jumped
So,
into a cough right
call
in the
to
middle.
action.
Did you
I
get what I was
think
saying?
call to action. Can you hear me?
I
Can't hear
can
you.
hear you. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I think Akil was saying, what is my call to action? And I
There
would
you go.
say, for a call to action that specifics for workforce professionals, nonprofit, government organizations. Like, let's hunker down together and let's build something impactful together. There's a lot of terminologies that people, discuss in regards to partnership. Partnership is hard. Partnership don't have to be hard because we can make it work for one another and
Mhm.
make it easier. So think about your workforce as being one workforce, just like a nod to the band. We used to say one band, one sound. Well, we
That's
can
right.
be one band, one sound. We don't have to be competitors. We don't have to have what is the buzzword? The co-opetition. We don't have to have that component of competition at all, because guess what, the people in the community needs us all, and if we all band together and offer what we do well, then they will be better for it, better off for it, because they're all our customer. We don't have to compete for that one person, because guess what, that one person need all of us in different ways. The
That's right.
individuals that are returning citizens, they need housing, they need mental health, they need workforce development, they need the training program, they need someone to help them get employment, they
Yeah.
need clothing closets, they need all of these things. And if we were to see each other as, one, I
Mhm.
think that, that would really help all of us in our ecosystem thrive a little bit better. And we'll be stronger and our communities will be stronger for it. It breaks my heart to see some of the economic impact reports, and to see that Atlanta, my precious city, is among the lowest ranked when it comes to economic mobility. It's such a shame when we have some of the most competent and brilliant minds here in Atlanta. But what we have not done, and we have not done well, is partner in a way that is showing and a reflection of our impact in our community. So that would be my call to action,
Yeah.
specifically for us as organizations and leaders here in Atlanta.
That's perfect, and you know, and collaboration instead of competition, right? And
Right.
we let's put it this way. I always feel like this ever since I've been working in workforce development and working with youth and working with adults in every facet. Let's get to the point where there's only two people to serve, and then we're competing for those two people, right?
Right.
Let's get to that point. If we get to that point, we could be competitive all we want, but in the meantime, there are more people to serve than any one of us can serve alone. And like you said, we have expertise coming from every single different angle. And if you put those things together, that's why that's how you and I met. That's how,
Yep.
you know, we do the work we're doing. And really that's how I got involved with BDPA. We were gathering, you know, we like to one of our greatest assets is our network and our social
Yep.
capital. And so
Yep.
so we're very intentional about that, and that's why we joined BDPA and why we've been part of things and why we're here. So I'm so glad that you're here. I think Mara has another
Yeah.
question, and then if you have anything you want to shout out before we get out of here, is there an upcoming event?
Yeah.
Is there a graduation happening? Is there anything that's happening that you know the folks should be aware of? We'll get a chance to do that right after Amara asks this next question.
Okay.
Thank you, Keel. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Q. Anytime I get to hear about the incredible things that you all are doing and learning more about your story and your personal connection, it's always a really kind of warm feeling. And I am inspired, honestly. And I love the way the conversation kind of flowed. It's been full circle of, you know, you starting out as a young student and moving through your education, learning about your motivations and your interests and how you were able to transform that into a career and kind of going from past, present, and future of what we want to see and how you can grow, how Westside Works can grow is super exciting. So I want to hear your thoughts on what you think or what you want your Westside legacy to be. What do you want people to remember your work, or remember about your work, the lives that you've touched? What does that look like to you?
You know, our West Side legacy, I think that I don't know. I can't really describe it, but it's a feeling that I have. I want the feeling to be the conversations that family have, that they know that there is a resource that they can depend on. I
Yeah.
don't want us to be one of those services that people speak about like, well, they have this service, but I'm not sure how to get to it or if it's for me. I want that Westside Works to be a household name and conversation, whether or not a person directly needs it or they have the capability of talking about it in a way to get someone who needs the service connected. I want us to, you know, when it comes to employers, I think about like right now, our construction program is one of the largest programs that we have and the biggest workforce commitments that we have from employers. I would like that in all of the industries that we have. I would like there to be no obstacles. Instead, I want them to be banging down our doors versus us pounding the pavement to find
Yeah.
those opportunities. I want the employers to seek us out.
That's
So
right.
not only a household name, but also a resource name when it comes to employment support for the industry at large in Atlanta and beyond. I want this legacy to be replicable in other communities that's similar to Westside Works across the U.S. because
That's right.
it's really, really a strong collaborative network that works. And the strategy can be utilized in a number of different places. And I would love to see that happen within the next decade.
I love that. I really do. That the story of community engagement should always be told. And I think any way that we're able to kind of document the progress and the programs you've been able to develop and what their impact is in the community, I truly believe that you all will have a sustainable, positive impact on those that you serve and those that are around you. So thank you for sharing all of that with you. And here's your opportunity to kind of shout out any things that you have coming up, programs, projects, opportunities. Just let the people know where they can find you and what you're up to. Oh, I think you're still muted.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute.
There you
Okay,
go. Yeah.
we're always up to a number of things at Westside Works, but we're getting ready to launch our spring canvassing campaign. So if you're located here in Atlanta, please come and join us, volunteer with us, and help us knock on doors to share with the community all of the services that's happening. Because while we serve all of Metro Atlanta, we are a community resource on the West Side, and we want our West Side neighbors to know that we want to be good neighbors to them and share share the resources that we have with them. So we get out there and we commune with the community with that canvassing opportunity. We also are getting prepared for a number of other activities that's launching, like some of our workshops. So if you have not signed up for our newsletter, please do so. It is packed with a lot of information and resources that organizations can use to direct and serve your customers. So if you're not here, we would love to talk to you about what we're doing if you're interested in establishing a similar collaborative workforce initiative in your area.
That's fantastic. And I'll just say that I think that the fundamentally what Westside Works does, and what you guys do and your intention is absolutely something that can become a national model. And the beautiful thing is that you have focused and are focused on the local community, which I think is super key. So you're growing out of the community to a national space, as opposed to being a big national organization coming to the community saying, "Hey, how can we serve you?" You already know. So I think that that's something that people should think about, especially in other areas, and connecting with you on how to do this in Chicago, how to do this in Oakland, how to do this in other places, DC and other places where we know the services are needed. So yeah, I think that if there's an innovation that comes out of this, also it's the reversal, right? It's the
That's right.
growing homegrown, and community and local community grown programming and ideas and talent that can be a national model. So I commend you guys, and I'm very excited to be working with you on a few things in the future. So that's cool. I think we're at our time. This has been a fantastic conversation and discussion with you. We appreciate you for being here. I'm going to pass it on to Devin. I know he's got some announcements and laying out some I think I saw some things in the chat, so make sure you guys check out the chat. But Q, before you jump off, do you want to tell us the Westside Works website? You want to tell us some of those things? Would be awesome for people to know before you jump.
Absolutely. So I will actually put in the chat my contact card. So
Perfect.
individuals that are interested in connecting with me beyond today, feel free to reach out to me. But if you are interested in learning more about Westside Works, you can search us on the web at www.westsideworks.org. Um, it is a part of our CareerRise website. We're getting ready to transition to Westside Works being its own single hosted site. So you will learn about our entire organization, CareerRise as a workforce intermediary and funders collaborative, as well as what we're doing on the community-based level.
And Q has an amazing team over there too, so I don't want to leave them out. We've had the opportunity to meet and work with some of the folks that work with you. So shout out to the team over there as well. And thank you again for being here. Oh, I'm just gonna put it there, Devin. We'll see Q. If you guys want to see Q, come to the BDPA Con 25. She's going to be there.
That's what I'm
She didn't
talking
say she
about.
was going to be there yet, but she's going to be there, and hopefully her whole team will be there. But yeah, if you want to see Q in person, come to the conference. Go ahead, Dev. I'll pass it to you.
That's a great segue. So, hey, thank you all for listening in today. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Conference.bdpa.org. Get registered for BDPA Con 25 right now. Like I said, super early bird registration is going on right now. Not even early bird, before the early bird, earlier than early. It's going on right now. So get it. Cheapest is going to be register for BDPA Con 25 at conference.bdpa.org. Again, if you're on YouTube, you already know where to find this. But if you're in the call today, this is on our national BDPA YouTube channel. So the recording will be out there. You can also go to bdpa.org/tech and career talks, or just go to YouTube, look up National BDPA. But all of our previous talks are out here as well. So listen to this conversation and check out some other ones. Different topics are there. So there's something for everyone. You can get some value from this. We thank you. Thank you again, Akil, Lamar, for all
Absolutely.
that you do with us. We look forward to our next conversation with Vanguard Consulting Group, LLC. Q, thank you so much for sharing with us. I went to Miles College, so we're rivals. I won't hold that against you, but you went 229, so I'll let it slide. So
Well, we
That's right. You know.
gonna talk some mess about Miles, but you guys enjoy getting beat by ASU every year, and we love that about Miles.
every year, you sure about that?
I'm sure of it.
Check the stats and come back to me. Y'all have a great one. Great weekend. Stay safe. Stay blessed. We'll see you next time.
All right, peace.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye,
Thank you guys.
everyone.